Everybody. Sure. Can you hear me? Okay, great. So I'm Stan Sloan. I'm starting my 14th year as the CEO of Chicago House, and I can't tell you how great it is to be here. As many of you know, we had a bakery that's now then in the hands of Little Miss Muffin, who has product in there for us today. Through that bakery, we had actually a few transgender women go through, two of whom are with us today. Trish Holloway and Danielle, wave at everybody. So they came through the training program, and I actually had served as the chair of the Chicago Alliance to End Homelessness for 4 years, had worked in homelessness for 2 decades here, and I thought that I knew all about homelessness. And then I started talking with them, and I found out that nothing works, even in the emergency systems, if you're transgender. You go to a shelter and they send you to the men's side even though you're a woman, because your ID still says male. And so we started studying it, and the more that we got to studying it, the more we realized there are huge gaps in services for the transgender community, not here in Chicago, but nationwide. And so we started working on programming, and Mara Kiesling from the National Center for Transgender Equality helped us, and we figured out what type of programs that were needed, which included housing, employment, medical services, legal services, and then just an emergency drop-in center. So we started studying it. We decided it was the right thing to do, and we thought, well, it's not going to be a popular thing to do because it's a very marginalized community, and everybody's kind of afraid of the community and doesn't know the community. And we have been pleasantly surprised at every turn. The transgender community has welcomed us and wrapped their arms around us as we started doing our work. Donors stepped up to the plate like we never thought that they would. And our staff and our board have been completely transformed. We now have over a dozen transgender people on our staff. We have board members who are transgender, and it has made a difference. Our Angelique, who, when you walk in, our receptionist is now transgender. Our bathrooms are different. Everything is different, and everything is better. And so most of you have been friends of Chicago House, and most of you know, and you will feel when you walk in the doors, that the place right behind me is sacred space. You know, I'm an Episcopal priest. There's no church that can touch this. So this is where thousands of people lost their lives in the fight against HIV and AIDS as our hospice. And now then, that place where people got to die with a sense of dignity is now going to be a starting and a first place to allow people to move forward with lives of dignity. And we are so excited. There are a crazy amount of people who got us here, and so I'm just going to start in. First, we've got a lot of the board members of Chicago House here. Raise your hands. We've got members of our TransLife Advisory Board members here. Raise your hands. We've got Trans Consumer Advisory Board members here. Raise your hands. So I'm in my 14th year. Those of you in nonprofit know that's a long, long time. And we've got a staff who's been and who stays, and I just can't thank them enough. First off, from our development department, Michael, Annie, Beth, and Jeremy, you all rock. And one guy who was on staff who about drove us crazy writing the initial grant for this, Bryant Dunbar as well. Next, we have Kiki Dorn, who's been with me the entire 14 years. Tiana Timatios, who's also been here all that time. And then Reggie Taylor, who works for them. Our program staff, Judy Perloff, our program director, who again has been with us the entire 14 years, and then our amazing TransLife staff, and it's worth saying all of them by name. Bon Wade, Shannon Parker, Angelica Ross, Owen Daniel McCarter, Lex Lawson, Caprice Carthens, Alexis Martinez, Dee Brown, Leanna Lighton, Martina Williams, Ayanna Armstrong. Every TransLife staff member is either trans or gender nonconforming. It's all the way down. And finally, the folks who work for us tirelessly and who aren't full-time, but who work like they are. Misha Beiser, who transformed the inside. Randell Dirk, James Luxton, and Pat Hughes, who have been helping me on the project. Next are our political officials, those who are for this site, our actual political officials for this site. Our senators, of course, Senator Durbin and Kirk. Congresswoman Schakowsky, who has been tireless in her fight for this. State Senator Heather Staines. State Representative Kelly Cassidy. And Alderman Perry Osterman. And then those who have been supported from other districts and wards. Congressman Mike Quigley, represented today by Brandon Neese. State Representative Greg Harris, one of our heroes. State Representative Sarah Feigenholtz, and Alderman James Kappelman and Joe Moreno. And a whole host of non-elected officials, Commissioner Mona Noriega, who has been supportive from the very time it was an idea, Brian Richardson and Joe Hollandoner from Chicago Department of Public Health, John Pfeiffer from Chicago Department of Family and Support Services, and two of our local heroes from HUD, Antonio O'Reilly and Ray Willis. As you all know, the TransLife Center is going to be important for the trans community in Chicago, but it's much bigger than that. The comprehensive services that will be offered here are being offered nowhere in the nation, and so this will set a new model and a new standard for other cities. And there is no way that we could do that on our own. And so I want to also thank our partners in this venture. First, Dr. Rob Garofalo, who's been a constant source of inspiration, Travis Scales and Lisa Coons from Laurie Children's, Owen McDaniel Carter, now on our staff, and our friends from the Transformative Justice Law Project. Of course, Tico Valley and Julie Walther from the Center on Halstead. Bill Farron and Richard Cardova and Sean Blay from TPAN. Kim Hunt, our dear friend from Affinity Community Services. Karma Israelison, Laura Brooks, and Michael McFadden from Howard Brown. David Minar, Art Dixon, and Angelique Miller from the AIDS Foundation. And of course, our partners for what you will see inside, our friends from Designs for Dignity, Jen Sobecki, Claire Tullett, and Carolyn, along with Hunter Kaiser and Diane Phalangia. Finally, the Asher brothers who painted, Peter Kalujan, who did the carpet, and Som Odishu from Top Line Heating and Air, which is why we'll be cool in it. Okay, so I said there's so many people to thank, and most important, the donors who made it a reality. First, I want to thank the first donor who stepped up to the plate when I thought nobody will fund this, Marianne Philbin and the Pierce, Dennis Pierce from the Pierce Family Foundation. Yvette Cardona and Debbie Resnick from Polk Brothers Foundation. Our great team from P3 Media Works for filming us today. Our dear friends, John Dufresne and Jordan Wankel from Space Architects. And then the donors who have stepped up to the plate with incredible generosity. Fred Eichner and Jim McDonough from the Alpha Wood Foundation. Our anonymous donor from Rome, Italy. Todd Hamilton and James Luxton, who are members of our family. And finally, there are two forces who have never funded Chicago House before and who stepped up to the plate in a crazy way. First off, Colonel Pritzker and Lisa Lands from the Tawani Foundation. And then the fabulous Karen Winslow, who's coming on our board, and Lana Wachowski, who gave so generously. Okay, there are 3 thank yous left, and then we can move forward. So the 3 thank yous left are important because they have not only given financially, but they've given in blood, sweat, and tears. So Blake and Spencer and Nick, come up here. And Scott and Carrie, come up here. Mary Shea, get up here too. So these are the folks from Clune Construction and our project leaders from Designs for Dignity. And everything that you see inside with Misha's help, this is how it happened. When I started showing people like Lana and Karen around the place, there was it was a shithole, basically. With bad curtains and everything. Well, I didn't know how to thank this group, and so Hunter actually gave me the idea of giving these lovely curtains as gifts to Clune Construction and to Designs for Dignity for making this all happen. Thank you guys so much. And we love you more than we can say. Earlier I mentioned that we have 2 heroes from HUD here with us, Antonio Riley and Ray Willis, who they spend their lives tucked away in an office downtown, and they never get to see how much their tireless work affects lives. So we're thrilled that you're here today. And Antonio Riley, who is the Regional Director of the Midwestern States, will now speak.